And the educators involved have just been thrilled with this close working relationship and what that can bring to them in helping them meet the needs of students.
Now, let me just kind of review this a little bit. We've got folks from public agencies, private agencies, various school districts, and I love this, all coming together, working together to try to deliver those services in a setting that's perhaps a little less threatening for folks, a little more accessible than having to travel to each service individually. Good grief, it makes so much sense. I'm starting to wonder, why didn't we do this before? Although I can think of why we didn't do it before, because it's tough to get a lot of these folks to, these kinds of organizations to work together, although in King County, I think we have a history of collaboration, and this just seems to be another step in that evolution of building a stronger community system. That's wonderful. It really
you know,
is.
and when we started this bill many years ago, looking at the data, and not to do the cold-hearted data, but we were trying to look at where were services being delivered around school-based sites. And so we were looking at the Department of Human Services data, and the county was able to look at mapping those who were receiving services. So that's how we chose our first few pilot schools, particularly within the Grand Rapids Public Schools. And the thought being is that when a person is having to deal with child care issues, cash assistance issues, taking time off work, all those things, and what we want is for kids to be ready to come to school, ready to learn, and one of the best ways to do it is to help remove that chaos in their lives, or the anxiety of really what the conditions are today for people to just try to live in a very comfortably.
And if I may, I'd like to expand a little bit. You hit on just, I think, the most important point in regards to teachers in the classroom, principals in buildings, is far too often in the past, it wasn't that the service agencies weren't available or didn't offer support, but when they were not in the building, quite often, when students did not come to class ready to learn, the teacher would take it upon herself to make contacts with parents or social workers and play a role that pulled her out of the classroom, focusing on what she does best, which is educate, he or she, educate children. The principal in this day and age needs to work as an instructional leader and really further develop the teacher's ability to meet the needs in the classroom. Teachers are no longer teaching to the whole class. They're meeting individual needs, trying to meet individual learning styles. When they focus on teaching, and the principal focuses on being an instructional leader, they can accomplish far more. And when you have the services right in the building, and you have a community resource connector connecting families to those services, and teachers and principals do not have to be involved in that, special things can happen. And we're seeing the results of that.
Now that's an interesting point, Kevin. So you're saying that we want to get our educators back to the job of educating, focusing on educating, and bringing in our human services, which they've had to kind of do that job for a while anyway. We want to bring those right to the schools so that you can get the teachers back to teaching, as well as provide those other human services. Excellent. We've been talking about this a little bit, but can you tell me a little bit more about how this works with all these services here together?
Well, in each school, there is, as Kevin was just saying, there is a community resource connector, and also a Department of Human Services worker. And generally, and in the school that you and I visited several months ago, they're based in the same office, and so they work together really hand in glove. And so as they're coordinating services, they'll meet with the family, and everything is as private and confidential and generally we'll meet in a separate meeting room. I mean, there's no hopefully no stigma against meeting with the, and generally what's happening with the families, and I think even back in the precursor days of having even just a caseworker at a building, is that what they find is that people are gravitating towards those helpful people, and getting them connected to, if a nurse is visiting the school, a health clinic, basic needs that children might need in terms of health needs and other types of needs. So they're really trying to do it right there. And if it can't occur right there, trying to make sure that we remove all the barriers to get people to either public transportation or other types of public transportation to where those services are. So it's, and what we're finding is that you can almost hear the deep sigh of relief for the last 2 years in the pilot schools, where they're seeing some real dramatic results. Preliminary results, but dramatic results of what's happening within each school and the environment in those schools.
You know, that's great. And you mentioned kids kind of gravitating to the services. I think I've heard that as I've visited with some of the staff people working there. And I do have to say that many of them seem so thrilled to be there.
Yes.
Because they're actually doing what they want to do. There's that sense of mission.
Right.
And they're able to carry it out. But you also mentioned results, Diana, and can we talk a little bit about that? What kind of results are you seeing now from this effort? Now, remember, the effort's been going on for
2 years.
2 years.
We're entering our 3rd
2
year.
years. All right. So what kind of results are we seeing?
Well, I think it's been clear by the data that's being collected that attendance, in school is improved.
Absolutely.
Is better. Student achievement is increasing and on the rise. When students come to school ready to learn, they walk into the classroom ready to learn, and some of the issues, being hungry, problems at home, not feeling well, have been taken care of by the Community Resource Connector. The focus can be on instruction. And they're coming to school because some of those issues have been taken care of, and attendance increases. So I would say that we're seeing positive results.
And the thing of it is that this program is being evaluated, so this isn't just happening in a feel-good type of a thing, though it does feel good, I have to say. The evaluation is being done by Public Policy Associates out of Lansing. And we also have, the Children's Aid Society has a staff person who comes every other month for technical assistance, and he has been extremely helpful because he's trying to help us deal with chronic absenteeism as well as the summer learning loss, which is a big issue, and it has been an issue for decades. The thing that we're finding is that reduction of suspensions and that type of thing. But we're going to be able to see more data in the next couple of months that really will emphasize, and the key thing here is student achievement. I mean, it's for a lot of reasons. We want children there. We want students in the classroom. And that's what we're seeing, is that we'll see what will happen with the MEP scores and all of that. But having that attendance, that was a real big issue. I know in one of the schools we were just looking at the data, and in the month of May, 2 students who were having a particularly hard time attending school were there most of the month for the first time in quite some time. And I know that it's surprising, but it's not necessarily the student's fault. It may be circumstances in the family, and that's what we're trying to address.
Sometimes we don't understand the difficulties some of these children are dealing with and what they have to go through just to get to school, let alone to get there and learn. But now it sounds like this program is helping those children and their families in a big way. So we're talking about better attendance, kind of working to fill some of those social needs of the students, fewer suspensions, distractions in the classroom. How about the administrators of the school? I can imagine the response to this, but how are they feeling about having these additional people here in the school?
I think they're feeling very, very positive about it. The need for our principals to lead instruction, be involved in the classroom instead of being pulled out to deal with discipline, to deal with problems associated with students coming to school not ready to learn, or problems that students may be having at home. It allows them to focus on teaching and learning and instruction too. Education, as you well know, is so important to the state and to the ability for us to turn around our economy. And for our students to be successful, and be a positive contributor to our economy when they finish school, they need a solid education. And this gives them a chance, to be successful in school. And for too long, I think the pressure was on education, teachers to get the job done alone by themselves. And this is a great opportunity for all of us to pull together, move out of isolation, collaborate, wrap all of our resources around a school and impact and make a difference. And I think that's what we're seeing here.